Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over some programmatic examples from our textbook. So remember, for this class, we are using this book right here, Visual C# 2015, and Introduction to Object-Oriented Programming by Joyce Farrell, not Farrell's newer Visual C# 2017. Alright? And I've explained that before. I don't want to go into it again. So we've gone through the first two chapters, which, as you would guess, puts us into Chapter 3. In the last chapter, we added different types of variables, etc. So I've got to make my way, peruse my way over here to Chapter 3. Which I don't know where it starts. Yep, we're too far. In Chapter 3, what I'm going to be doing is taking the program that I just did for you, and I'm going to make it GUI. So I'm going to create a form in the Visual Studio IDE. I'm going to show you some of the stuff that's in the toolbox. Alright, I'll add labels and text boxes. I'll show you how to name forms and controls. Hopefully we'll make some errors so we can correct those. And then you'll be able to start deciding which interface you want to use. Do you want it to be from the command line, or do you want it to be GUI? Alright, so that's the game plan for this particular chapter. So, yep, double check and make sure I'm taping. Alright, so I'm going to come back in here again. I've got this program, and I actually went in and copied all of it and just threw it in here into a Notepad++ file. So I'm going to do a file. In fact, let's do a save all first. Always a good idea to click the double disk icon. And I'm going to do a file, close solution. Now I'm going to change this. I'm going to do a file, new, project. But instead of choosing a console application, I'm going to choose a Windows Form application. Alright, this will be payroll number 04. Alright, and I'm going to click OK, and you're immediately going to see a lot of differences. First of all, here's our form. This is kind of our blank canvas that we can draw on. Now, it's pretty little right now, so we're going to be able to stretch it out and make it bigger. Now, I'm going to go through a lot of stuff that's interspersed throughout different chapters. All right, so we want to draw on this. We need to use these things right here, which is our toolbar. All right, so I'm going to pin this toolbar. Whoop. I'm not seeing the toolbar, so on a view toolbar, there it is. I'm going to pin that. There it is. That's what I want. So let's do a few things. First of all, this is our form. This is our canvas area. There's the name of it, Form 1. Let's change the name of that from Form 1 to Form Payroll. And you'll notice up here where it says Form 1, it does not change. Alright? This is just the way we refer to the form in code. We want to change what's up here from Form 1. We go down to the text property, and I'm going to say this is payroll version 04, the first GUI version. And you can see that's what it says. I also don't like the color here, so I'm going to click on the form, go up here, and this is called my Properties window. This is the Solution Explorer. We're going to go through all these in class, but I'm going to go to my back color. I'm going to click on there, click the down arrow, and I'm going to choose Custom. Let's make it a light yellow. Okay, not beautiful, but it's very functional. Alright, now we're going to add a few things here. We need, what did we have here before? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 fields that we have to put in here. So we may even have to make this a little bigger. Or we can, well, we'll see. So I'm going to come in and first of all, I'm going to add a few labels. This will be the label for my first name. In fact, let's, I don't know if that'll all fit on one line, but we'll see. That'll be first name. I go over the text box. So that's where I'll actually put my first name. Okay. Then I'll have another label here for my middle initial. And another text box here where I'll put in my middle initial, and then another label here for my last name, and another text box here for my last name. Okay, doesn't look like much so far, just bear with me, okay? So what else do we have in here? I'm just going to build this whole thing first. How about next we'll put these two things together, the employee number and the is union. All right, so we'll have another label here, throw it right there, and another text box, put there, and let's, just to show you, we can copy those, paste them. So we've got another one, so we've got that there. And then finally, we'll need, let's just copy these. And we'll throw those down here. All right. And let's also put in 3 buttons. We haven't looked at a button yet. One, I'll make this bigger so it looks nicer and easier to read. Too thick. That's pretty good. So we've now got 3 buttons. So there's our interface. Doesn't look like much. Bear with me. It'll get better as we go on. All right. First thing I want to do is I want to grab all these labels, and I want them to be able to expand because they're too small right now. So I'm going to highlight each one of them. I'm holding down on the control key, and I'm tapping each label. Oops. All right. Now I'm going to go over here, and where it's got a thing that says auto size, it says true. I want that to be false. There we go. Now all my labels are going to be bigger. All right. So I don't think this is going to exactly work the way I wanted it to, so I'm going to pull these down. I'm going to grab all this, and I'm going to pull these down. And now I'm just going to start building. So I'm going to grab these 2 things. For now, pull them down. Now, come over to here. First thing I think I'm going to do is I don't like the labels. They're too hard to read. So again, I'm going to hold down on the control key and let's do this. I'm going to try to pretty this up just a tad. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab these 3 labels. Let's give them a different color, different background color. All right, I don't want it to be something too repulsive, so that looks like it'll work. All right, and I'm not worried about the size and stuff of these. We can talk about that at another time as far as how to make them bigger, etc. All right, but this is going to hold the first name, so I'm going to change the name of it to label first name, no spaces in variable names like this, and down here we're just going to put first name. All right, there we've got that. This one will be last name, and we'll change the name of that to label. Oh, I'm sorry, this is middle initial. This is middle initial. Okay, no blank spaces in variable names, but I can put a blank space down here because this is just text. So middle initial. All right, and last name. You can see already a little bit, at least, it's starting to come together. This will be label last name. Now we don't want any values in any of these, but I'm going to change the name. So this will be text box first name. Since this is label first name, this might as well be text box first name. This will be text box middle initial. And this will be text box last name. All right, so that stuff's all done. Stretch this out a bit. So we're able to put longer names in there. There we go. I should be able to stretch these out as well, I think. All right, I don't want them to touch. That's a little unprofessional looking. But they can be pretty close, so. Now with these, let's do a couple things. First of all, let's take the font and bold it. We don't have to do that, but let's bold it, make it a little bit bigger. All right, that looks better. Let's also take and align that, so we go to text align, and we want to choose center right. There we go. That looks a little better. We could make these smaller, but it looks fine the way it is. All right, so we've got first name, middle initial, and last name. Good. Next, we want, remember. So next, we want employee number and then is union. So we'll move this up. Again, I'm eyeballing all this. Now, if I look in here, it says that the size of this, somewhere in here, is 202.23, and the size of this is 202.23. So it looks like the size of this should be 202-23. All right, and it looks like it's out of whack now, but I just got to move it over so it lines up with the other ones. All right, and whatever that color was, I think it was kind of an orangish. Let's do the same thing here for the color, and that's background color, and that was right there. All right, a couple more things we want to do. Let's change the name. So the name of this will now be label employee number. All right, and the text on it will be employee number. And the text will be bolded and right justified. So let's do the text align, center justified, I guess it is. And for the font, again, just like we just did, let's make it 10 point and bold. All right, it's coming together. All right, next, we want to do our union status. What did we say? I think that was 202.23 or something like that for the size. Okay. So this will be label is union, and we will put in here for the text is union. We will again align it, and we will again set the background color. Smart enough to remember that for us. We will again set the font so that it's bold and it's 10 point. All right, so that's looking pretty good. So these have all been renamed. Let's double check. Label first name, label middle initial, label last name, label employee number, label is union, text box first name, text box last name, or middle initial, text box last name. That should be text box employee number. And this one should be text box is union. All right, so what's left? Well, next we want to come up here and here, and this will be our hours worked. So this will become, again, let's do its size first. We do these in any order. How did that happen? Well, that's location. I don't want the size. So 202/23. All right. Change it up a little bit here. We'll do the font next. 10 point bold. We will next change it so it's centered. We will next change the color. Finally, up next we'll change label. That's label hours. Hours worked. And the text on there should be hours worked. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Yeah, let's change the name. Oh, Scott here. Why didn't he change the name? It's still saying label 8. I don't know why. Huh. Get rid of this. Not seen that happen before that I can remember. Still says label 8. Label hours worked. It's not changing. In fact, none of these did. Well, that's a little strange. Not sure what's going on here, but hopefully we can fix it. This will be text box hours worked. All right. This will be hourly rate. And eventually this will be gross pay. Take these and we'll move them down a tad. And there's our interface. Let's take these. Let's move them over. And then let's make this a little bit narrower so it looks like that's not too bad looking of an interface, I guess. Not perfectly lined up. Some of these are a little higher, have a little more space than others, but it's not bad. Alright. So label first name, label middle initial, label last name, label employee number, label is union, label hours worked. Now it's changed. Okay, good. Text box first name, text box middle initial, text box last name, text box employee number, text box is union, text box hours worked. Right. So this will end up again 202.23. This is going to say hourly rate. This is going to be centered, right centered. Let's change its color. Let's change its font. Okay, we change its name yet? No, we did not. So this will be label hourly rate. All right, I think that's everything for this. This will become text box hourly rate. And then finally, this will be label gross pay. Change the color. Change the size. Change the text. Forgot to come in and change the font. Font should be 10 point. I kept it at 8. I just like things to be a little bit symmetrical like that, so there we go. Finally, we'll make this right justified. There we go. Finally, this has got to come and be text box gross pay. All right. Whoop, because they put a blank space. Can't have blank spaces. That's what happens when you do. So text box gross pay. There we go. All right, let's do the same thing with our buttons. They're a little bit thick. That's better. This first one will be button calculate. All right, and we want it to say calculate. This second one will say clear. And it will say on it button clear would be its name. Finally, the last one will say exit, and its name will be button exit. Alright, it's not a beautiful interface, but it's a functional interface. I don't want anything to change on here anymore, so I'm going to highlight all of it by holding down on the left mouse button, dragging, so that's called lassoing it. Then I'm going to right mouse click on here and choose lock controls. Alright, now nothing can move. See that? They're all locked. Alright, if I run this program now, first of all I'm going to save it, but if I run it, it's going to look pretty much the way you think it would look, just like this. Alright, but notice if I start to hit the tab key, it's not too bad. It's actually going where I want it to go, but it may or may not always. So I'm going to come in and do a couple things. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to set the tab order. So I go to View, Tab Order, and I want that to be there, 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 here, 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 and here. I don't really care about these. Can't tab to them anyway, but I'll just put them all in there just for completeness sake. Alright, now I do another View Tab Order to make those numbers go away. Alright. Alright. Right now, if I run the program, it doesn't do too much, but I'm also going to click on here, and I'm going to tell it that the start position, I want it to start right in the center of the screen. So I'm going to choose center screen and run it again, and notice the difference. There it is, right in the center. Kind of like that better. But none of these buttons do anything yet, so let's make them do something. Alright. So, let's see. Well, what do we want to have happen? When we click the, let's do calculate last. In fact, I'm going to double click on each one of these. That's going to bring up what's called a code window, and that's where we're going to add the code in just a couple minutes. Alright, but I'm going to kind of do it. So when I click the clear button, I want that to clear, 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 and I want my cursor to be right there. Alright, so that's what I'm going to tell it to do. So, clicking this button will clear out all text boxes and set the focus, in other words the cursor, to the first field. Alright, so text box first name dot text equals double quote, that'll clear that out. In fact, I'm going to go and copy this a bunch of times. I don't get errors because all it would be doing would be clearing the same thing over and over again, which would be silly, but I could do it. Whoop, I want last name. There. This is middle initial. I don't have to do them in this order, just so you know. I can clear them in any order. It doesn't matter. What do we have next? We had... Is it emp number? Hoping that's correct. I guess not. So we go back and we look. Employee number. Okay. And you see the squigglies go away. And we have hours worked. And we've got hourly rate. And we've got gross pay. Alright, that'll do all that. So that will clear all those. And then we have to set the focus or the cursor to our first field. So text box first name dot focus. Alright, let's see if it works. One thing first, just so you know, I really shouldn't be able to type a value into here. Right now we can. but I'm going to change that in just a moment. Now, when I click this, these should all clear, and my cursor should then be right in this field here. And it all worked. All right. So I'm going to come back to my code here, to my design mode here, and I'm going to take this field, and there's a thing over here that says read only. Notice it's set to false. I'm going to change it from false to true. When I do, it turns gray, which I don't like. So I'm going to make it like a darker yellow, because our background is yellow. But I'm just going to make it a shade yellow, a shade darker. There we go. So it sort of stands out. So my clear button is now done. For the exit button, I could just put in this, application.exit. Totally fine to do. And then when I run the program, and I click exit, I'm done. The only thing is doing it like that, it's a little bit severe, because what if I didn't mean to click it? Now I've exited the program. So I'm going to say if message box dot show exit program now, comma. You'll see what all this means in just a moment. Exit program, comma. Message box buttons dot, we'll make it a yes no. Message box icon, we'll make that a question. And we're going to say if all that is equal to dialog result dot yes. So in other words, this is in English says if we said we're going to have a box that comes up in just a minute, and if we click the yes option, then we want to exit. And if we don't, we just want to stay in the program. So let's do this. Let's run the program. And I'm going to click the exit button. So notice what happens now. Exit program now. That's this. That's our text. Exit program. That's our title. All right? Yes, no. Those are our buttons. Question mark. That's our icon. If we click yes, the program will end. If we click no, the program will keep running. So if I click exit and click yes, I'm done. So, we will put a comment here that says clicking this button will end the program if the user chooses to do so. All right, so what's left? Well, what you guess, the calculate button. All right, and it's not going to look that different from some of the stuff that we did earlier in here. All right, I still want my, let's see, what do we want to keep in here? Let's keep these fields right here. All right, so, and we'll put in a message here that says clicking this button will attempt to calculate the gross pay. All right. So what do we have here? We've got our employee number, we've got our union status, our hours, our rate, and our gross pay. That's all fine and dandy. All right. Now I set these equal to 0, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to say emp number equals convert dot to int 32. But what I want to convert now is not a read line like we did before, but I want to convert text box emp number dot text. All right, notice the squigglies went away. Then I want to do is union, and I want that to be equal to convert dot to Boolean. Text box is union dot text. All right. Then I want hours to be equal to convert dot to double text box hours worked dot text. This is coming together. And then we want rate and this is text box hourly rate. All right, and then finally this is gross pay. And that's hours times rate. Now I'm done except for one thing. I've got to actually show this stuff. So, it's just these 5 fields that I have to make sure I fill in. And actually I've already got the hours and the rate, so it's basically, let's see. It's really just the gross pay, I believe. So we're going to say here text box gross pay dot text equals gross pay dot toString, and we will make that currency. No idea if it's done or not, but we're going to take a quick look. So let's save this and run the program. All right, Jeff P. Scott 1 2 3 4 5 true 40 25. Click calculate. There's my 1,000. All right, it's not perfectly lined up, but it's not too bad. Clear. I can start all over again. Exit. Do I want to exit? Yes. So what did we do in this program? First of all, you may or may not have noticed, there is not, let me check my time here. All right, I'm way over. There is no using static. Okay, in fact, let's do that. We'll do this in the next part. Okay, I'll come back in just a moment.